here are what the social movements actually pushed and third parties challenged in this country. You ready? The abolition of slavery. Women getting the right to vote. The creation of the Social Security Administration. Unemployment insurance. Workers' compensation laws. Pure food and drug laws. Ending child labor. The direct election of the United States Senate. The 5-day work week. The 40-hour work week. The weekend. Literally the entire fabric of what all of us understand to be the bare damned minimum for a decent and just society. That entire fabric was literally woven together, strand by strand, issue by issue, by alternative political parties that were driven by social movements. It takes both. You cannot win without both a social movement and an electoral challenge at the ballot box. And those electoral challenges, that list of 10 that we just walked through, those people did their work when they were called dangerous un-Americans for daring to challenge power. Those alternative parties did their work when they were called naive and or unrealistic. Those third-party challengers did their work when they were called spoilers. And I got news for people who say that the Green Party or Jill Stein are spoiling the election. What they call spoiling, we call participation. We have a fundamental right to participate in the electoral process. And bluntly, if our participation is causing any problem, then let's acknowledge that the problem is a voting system that's forcing people to vote against the candidates that they hate the most rather than for the ones that they want. There is a solution to that. It's called ranked choice voting. And if the Washington Democratic Party or the Washington Republican Party actually want to solve the problem, and this problem is growing because we ain't going away, then they need to work with us to institute ranked choice voting. It's just that simple. For those of you who don't know what ranked choice voting is, it's really simple. Right now, under the voting system, you are forced to go into the ballot box, and if there are 4 candidates, you have to choose one. Here's something interesting. This is actual fact. That in this election cycle, for the first time in U.S. history, polling is telling us that more people are casting ballots against the other major party candidate rather than for somebody that they actually want. In other words, the majority of Trump voters are actually casting a ballot against Hillary Clinton. And there is a corollary. The majority of Clinton voters are casting a ballot against Donald Trump. That's what polling data is showing us. That's a problem. What is the solution? Rather than just choose one, you get to rank order your choices. My first choice, my second choice, my third choice. We like to say ranked choice voting is as easy as 1, 2, 3 because that's all you do. You literally just say which choice you have. But here's the amazing thing. It empowers you, the voter, to fully express your opinion. But even better than that, it is super easy to count the ballots. Because now you just count the number, like in the current system, right? You count up how many votes did each candidate get, and whoever got the most votes wins. All right? That means that you can win without a majority, right? A plurality, 40%. 38% can actually win, meaning a majority of people actually chose somebody else. The beauty about ranked choice voting, not only does it empower the voter to fully express her or his opinion about all those choices, but it gets even better. Because when you rank order them, to count the ballots, you just say, well, how many first preference votes did each candidate get? And you ask, did anybody get a majority, right? 50% or more. And if anybody gets a majority, she or he wins. Majority rule. But if nobody got a majority, you simply eliminate the lowest vote getter because she or he has the least amount of support. But check it out. The people who voted for that candidate as their first choice didn't waste their vote. Why? Because they've already indicated their second preference on that ballot. It's like a runoff, only it's an instant runoff. right? So you get the advantages of a runoff, but you save millions of dollars of taxpayer money because you don't have to have a second election. Oh, and you know what else? This is happening all across the country already in municipalities and counties all across the country. You know what we're finding? That it is forcing candidates to be more civil to each other. Can you imagine why? Because under our current system, it actually incentivizes mudslinging and trying to suppress the votes of your opponents. But in ranked choice voting, if I am a candidate, I'm trying to get your first preference, right? But if I know for a fact that Chris Stegman is also running and he's got people who are definitely going to vote for him first, I want to be their second choice. So it does not incentivize ugliness and mudslinging and so forth. But it gets even better than that. Not only is it more civil discourse, issues get discussed more. It empowers citizen groups and constituencies even more because they end up actually being, multiple candidates feel that they have to actually take a position across rather than the binary approach that our first speaker actually talked about. Ranked choice voting, now that's a bit of, it can get very mathematic, it's not the sort of rah-rah rallying speech, but I really want to underscore, the Green Party has policy positions that work. When you join the Green Party, and by the way, you will. Look, and here's the other thing. If you're a genuine progressive who wants to actually see another world, you are ultimately going to join the Green Party. And when you join, I promise not to say I told you so. If you're not yet ready to join, that's okay, but they will. And let me tell you something, brother, it's really important. So there's got to be a Young Greens or at Evergreen. We got one in Houston, Texas. Woo! Evergreen, are you going to let Houston, Texas really beat y'all? How many students here say, all right, I'm going to join these two brothers right here and join and form it? Look at these hands go up. All right, let's do this. Let's give a round of applause for those students. We do this. We will do this. Now I'm actually going to tell you, at the end of the day, why the Green Party. Because the Green Party is an international movement that is able to actually confront the international global nature of the problem. You see, the reason that the Green Party is erupting right now is because we are in a moment of crisis. Actually, it's not just one crisis. It's multiple crises. An ecological crisis. It's not coming, it's here and getting worse. The global climate crisis, and we have a solution for it. But there's also an economic crisis. If you think that housing market bubble was bad, and it was, and that crisis was bad, and it was, wait till this student debt crisis hits. And it's a crisis, right? We are inflicting a level of debt on young people today that I can barely wrap my head around. I know young people who are graduating from a 4-year institution with $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 of debt. I'm not that old, y'all, and I hesitate to say I remember when, but I remember when that just didn't happen. Y'all, I want you to be mad at me, but for the young people, my first house cost less than that. I have had a lived experience that most of you will not be allowed to have because of this economic system. It's not your fault, but it is your problem. Right? It ain't your fault. The reason this economic crisis exists, and I'm going to name it and say it right out loud. Capitalism cannot solve this economic crisis. Solve this economic crisis? Because capitalism is this economic crisis. We've got to understand, at its core, the concept of capitalism has fundamental contradictions that are finally beginning. Like anybody who studied it saw those contradictions. Now you have to push your head deep into the sand not to acknowledge reality. Here's some of those realities. I love it. Please keep that baby in here. It makes my heart feel good to know that there is a child in this audience. See, that's how Greens roll. The economic crisis of capitalism. Capitalism presumes it has an assumption of unlimited resources to be able to constantly commodify. In case you hadn't noticed, the earth is a closed system. Right? The concept of capitalism is literally destroying the planet faster than Mother Earth can replenish herself. It is the ideology of cancer. It cannot continue. The second problem, or a second problem of capitalism as an economic institution, is that it presumes unlimited markets to be able to continue to expand. Once again, it's a closed system. Capitalism has swept the globe. That's why it is turning on itself now, and the austerity programs that you're seeing across the world are being forced into play. The third thing that's really important to recognize about capitalism is this, that even at its best, capitalism actually once encouraged the capitalists to employ people. For example, if I'm the capitalist and I own the means of production, that doesn't just mean factories, that means literally the things that you need to live, right? Food, shelter, all of the things. If I own them and there is the state or the police or whatever turning it, you're feeling it, right? And turning against it, and I own it all, the thing is, even if I own it all, I can't make it work. So it literally is to my benefit, or it was to my benefit, to put you to work, 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 to put you to work. You get to work too, Peter. In other words, I put people to work. Is it because I'm a good person? No. Because you're surplus value of labor, surplus value of labor, surplus value of labor. Each one of you I put to work, it actually makes money on you. So it's not that I like you, actually I'm a parasite. Right? But I'm sucking just enough. So literally, under that model, the capitalist is not putting people to work because he likes them, and it's almost always a he. I'm a feminist. I'm very careful with my pronouns. I'm being careful with this one. Little joke. A little gender justice joke there. Except for not really so funny. Right? Thank you, sister. But for the capitalist, putting people to work is a good thing. And actually what I'm competing against is other capitalists who are putting other people to work as well. At the end of the day, though, you see, the only thing that restricts me from putting as many people to work as I can is the market itself, right? Because of how it works. But here's the other thing I want to really underscore. Today, with technology, automation, robotics, I don't need you. I need very few of you. Right? And this is the thing that is both maddening, inspirational, poignant, and really just pisses me off. We should be living in a paradise today. I'm going to say that again. We should be living in a paradise today. We are the first group of human beings globally, planet-wide, who can say with confidence and scientific certainty there's enough to go around. Everybody should have enough food to eat. Everybody should have decent health. Everybody should have whatsoever. There's enough to go around. It reminds me, when some people ask me, hey, you know, what is it that first got you started? And I think there's a lot of different ways I can talk about it. And one of the ways that I often think about is being 6 years old when my mama saw me, my brother, and my cousin Joe Michael fighting. That's right, I'm from the South. Many of us have double names. So Joe Michael was fighting with my brother and me over a little car. And I will never forget that my mama didn't come in and fuss at us. Actually, what she did, she knelt down with us. See, she got even and horizontal with us. And she put her hands on us and calmed us down, you know. For those of you who are mothers and have ever had little boys, I think boys are particularly needing calming, right? Calmed us down, and then she just said, hey, look, there's 3 of you. We've talked about this. We've learned to count. Let's count together. Let's all do it together. She got us to do it together. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 of you. But look, there's only one toy. There's only one toy. So all we have to do is share that toy. Oh, but wait. It's even better than that. Look around. And she pulled in other toys. And she said, I've seen you play with all of these. Look. The scarcity myth, she said, is an illusion. And we grew up poor. But even we had lots of the toys to play with. And she just pointed out, that there's, and she said, I'll never forget, there's enough to go around. All you have to do is share. And you know what? That made sense to me. It made sense to me then. It makes sense to me now. There are technical fixes to every single one of the problems that we face. They're not being implemented because we, the people, don't control our government. The Green Party is an invitation to you to exercise politics in a different way. A way to exercise politics collectively with love and compassion on 4 principles: peace, justice, democracy, ecology. Those interconnected values of the Green Party are shared by Greens across the world. Frankly, if there is going to be a future, it will be a green future. There is no other way than to break the grip of the two-party system. Don't waste your vote on the failed neoliberalism of either the Democrats or the Republicans. Invest your vote in a movement for change. Have I been signaled that we need to? All right, so I've got 2 minutes left before we open it up. So here's how I'm going to conclude. The Green Party is getting larger, stronger, and better organized with every election cycle. The Stein-Baraka campaign is doing something no other campaign has ever done. First of all, we have to remember the Green Party birthed really in this country with Ralph Nader in 2000. Ralph was the most trusted person in America at the time. Again, this is from the U.S. News and World Report. He was one of Time Magazine's top 50 people in the country. Ralph Nader was famous and basically helped to create the Green Party. Jill Stein did not start this campaign famous. The Green Party at this historic moment created Jill Stein. See the difference? I think there's something really wonderful about the fact that that is happening. Because here's the thing, as hard as it is to imagine creating an alternative political party in this country, I actually think it's easier and more likely to succeed than trying to work within the corrupted, corporatized Democratic Party. And I was working in that party. 1984, I worked for Jesse Jackson. In 1988, I worked for Jesse Jackson. In 1992, I worked for Jerry Brown. I learned a lot of those campaigns. I learned how to, as a white person, how to put myself under the leadership of people of color. I learned about Palestine and foreign policy. I learned how to build relationships and genuine coalitions between environmentalists and organized labor and women's groups. I learned about intersectionality. You know what else I learned? That the Democratic Party's presidential primary is where progressive politics goes to die. That's what I learned. And frankly, that lesson keeps getting taught over and over again. All the energy that gets built up within a progressive effort within the Democratic Party is ultimately crushed by the leadership of the Democratic Party, who are basically corporatist imperialists. Think about it. Jesse Jackson, 84, 88. Jerry Brown, 92. Dennis Kucinich. Howard Dean. And each time the group says, I know we need to just form another organization, take over the Democratic Party and take it to the left. Jesse Jackson did it with Rainbow Push. Then Jerry Brown did it with We the People. Then Dennis Kucinich did it with Progressive Democrats of America. Then Howard Dean did it with Democracy for America. That shit don't work. It just doesn't work. So I have absolute respect for people who want to take the approach that you're taking, or I don't know if you're taking, but the question you asked, I respect that. I don't support it personally, but I will always work with people who I have agreement with, even if I have tactical disagreements, because I work very hard at being respectful to people, even with whom I disagree. Who's number 4?
Oh, sorry, not me.
We're going to have 2 more questions.
I've got 2 more to go. Number 4.
Like Jill, and then
Right.
David has to go up to Seattle.
But you'll stay and answer questions.
He has to be in Seattle.
I got to go to Seattle.
Sharp
Number 4.
in rush hour traffic, so that's why.
I think it's a couple logistical questions really about the Green Party. One would be if this campus had a Green Party club or
Chapter.
a chapter, would this room have been free for that use?
Yeah.
The other
Yes.
Okay.
Think about that for a
So
second.
that is important. And the other one would be, is the Green Party, what's going to be the minimum number of votes that we're going to need in the state of Washington to get ballot
Every state is different, right, for ballot access retention.
Does anybody know the answer to that question?
She's on the ballot in Washington. You qualify for the ballot by a certain number of Greens elected or registered. 5.
Nationwide.
That's a different question. Ballot access for Washington State is based on number of party registrants in Washington State. However, so that's another reason to register into the Green Party. But you give me the opportunity to say this, and Peter the professor can verify this. Historically, over the last 20 years, third-party efforts usually get excitement to the extent that they do in the summer, and then by the fall, they start to wane, and in October, usually early to mid-October, it craters, right? That has been the history for 20 years. Here's what's happening. The Johnson Libertarian Party has had that phenomenon. They were up to as high as 10%. He's now down to about 5%. And the trend line looks like this for Johnson and the Libertarian Party, following the history that we've seen for 20 years. Jill was at 1 to 2% over the summer, less than 1%, then 1 to 2%, 3 to 4%. She's polling at 5% in Washington State right now. The trend line is up. That has never happened before. And here's the kicker. If Jill Stein and the Jammu Baraka get 5% of the vote nationwide, we get $10 to $12 million to run our next campaign.
So thank you so much for reminding people to look up Hillary Clinton's record. She has one of the worst records I've ever seen. Supported the bombings in Iraq, Afghanistan, the Wall Street bailouts, the war on drugs. It's a horrible, Syria, Libya, it's a horrible list. Horrible list. Can you just tell us a little bit? A lot of us here are working class people. We have to work long hours at terrible jobs. Slave labor wages, well not slave labor, but very low wages.
Yes.
And it just seems to be getting worse and worse. So can you tell us about how Hillary Clinton supports a system that keeps poor people down? Maybe even tell us about some of the specific things that she's done, like supporting the Wall Street bailouts.
So you've already done that. And I'll make this clear, I'm also working class, by the way.
What?
It's another thing that Greens actually, see, I put on a suit so I look a little different, right? But the reality is that Greens actually, for the most part, come out of poor and working class backgrounds. Like, that makes us unique. I also want to take this opportunity, instead of just continuing to harp on the neoliberalism of Hillary Clinton, to tell you what the Stein-Baraka's plan is. A Green New Deal that actually eliminates student debt like that, guarantees a education, not K through 12 as public education, but K through 16, and a plan to transition us off of coal and oil by 2030 onto sustainable alternative energy sources, and a carbon sequestration program that protects existing forests and reforests the country. Oh, and I'm still not through. Creates a mass transit system across the entire continent for city-to-city modality, and then within the cities actually creates mass infrastructure projects as a public infrastructure matter. And I'm still not through because we want to dismantle the corporatized food production and distribution system that currently exists and return to small farms and family farms and ranchers. And that was all we've done. Go to the website, jill2016.com. You will see the Green New Deal. Click on it one by one by one by one. This is doable. All we need is the political will to do it.